I'm doing excellent. How about you guys? Good.
Coach Rhoads, take the questions. So you guys all watched the film together. Can you kind of maybe talk about what went into that?
Yeah, we did, and I think the open date gives you the luxury to spend a little bit more time on corrections and all the things that you have to fix and you want to address, and we were able to do that as a defensive unit where you don't have that time in a normal game week. You got to give the individual position coaches a chance to thoroughly coach their area. So we got both of those things done. We got it watched as a unit. We got it watched as position coaches. And like anything else that you really thoroughly evaluate, the more you watch it, the more you see it, the more you're going to be exposed to. So I think we got a lot of great teaching done in those 2 days of meetings, and I'm equally confident we got a lot of great learning done at the same time.
How do you think the defense played overall?
Good, not great. And as literature would tell us, good's the enemy of great, and we want to be a great defense. And I thought we played good. And even possibly good enough to keep us in the ball game and give us an opportunity to win the ball game. But we want to play great. We want to play at a level that secures victory for our football team, and that's how I would explain it to you.
Third down, the difference between good and great.
Third and one, 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 5 times. We were faced with third and one situations, and that's a result of poor first and second down efficiency as a defensive unit. Hard to play great third down conversion defense when you're faced with third and short. Offense's chances for success obviously are higher, and it's a bad situation to be in. Third and medium and third and long, we didn't execute to our expectations on those distances as well. And we had our opportunities on those distances and had some individual breakdowns that cost us a chance for success.
You think with that narrative, would you say Santos played great?
I would say he's playing at a very high level. I would not say he played great because of enough missed tackles on his part that I think eliminated that opportunity. Nobody's more upset than Santos. Yeah, and there was a couple in the middle of it that were a part of that too. That last touchdown, you're down 14 with the time left that it was. If you don't get the football, if you don't strip the football, the outcome of the game isn't going to change. So as ugly as that play was, the kids' mentality, right, wrong, or indifferent, was to get our football team the ball, and that's what they were attempted to do, and it makes for an ugly-looking defensive play in the process. But He'd like to finish the game, and I'd certainly like that as well, with 0 missed tackles, and he didn't do that. So I think that keeps him away from playing a great game. He's playing at a very high level through 2 ball games, though. The interception was a big-time play.
How did Cameron Curl do for his first start?
Did really well, and not surprising to any of us who watch him on the practice field every day. I would almost say he's sort of quiet out there. You noticed him when he got beat deep, that the kid dropped the ball. I don't know how much you noticed him the rest of the game, and with a good corner sometimes that's the case. He played his loose coverage better. He played his press coverage very well. Did not have a lot of opportunities as far as the tackling piece of the game, but is very capable and ready for that. Yeah, and so I would quantify him as the same thing with Santos. I don't think he played a great game, even being involved with 17 tackles, because he could have had 20-plus tackles. And for a guy that has the ability of Dre Greenlaw, that's one of the things we need. We've talked that we've identified certain guys that are playmakers on this unit, and he's one of them. And when he has the opportunity to make those plays, he's got to make them for our football program, and he left some of those out there. Those 17 tackles, I'm sure glad he was on the field to make at the same time. I'd say that's probably one of Grant's top attributes. He is an instinctive player. He's having to be an instinctive player playing both linebacker positions, Mike and Will, and that's not necessarily the easiest thing to accomplish. You'll probably see Grant Morgan on the field more as the season goes along, and not less even as we get into better condition. I think Scooter and Dre both need enough breaks, and Grant's very capable of providing that.
I guess he had about 30, almost 34 minutes, 70-some snaps. How do you feel like your guys held up physically?
I thought we held up very well physically. Better than a year ago at this point in the season, in my opinion. I think we played 90-some snaps a year ago in this particular football game. Of course, it had overtime as a part of it. But we were gassed at the end of the first half, as I stated in that game, and tired for most of the second. I never sensed that out of our football team at all on Saturday. There were some individuals that when it came time for them to need a break, you could tell, and we got them that break. But for the second game of the season, I thought we played fast again.
Did you have some backups? Because a lot of guys got playing time that impressed you that are going to get more time from that game.
Yeah, I think at the corner position right now we're four guys. Chevin getting snaps behind Cam and Brito getting snaps behind Tolliver. I think you've got Coley rotating in at both safety spots or creating a rotation at both safety spots, and Kevin Richardson, manning the nickel spot, and Josh Liddell gave him a break at that position as well. Micah Smith's another guy in the secondary who could begin to get some reps at the nickel based on his preparation. Grant Morgan gives us a 3-player rotation at the inside linebacker. You got Dwayne Eugene and Randy Ramsey, whether it ends up being a 2/3 third or a little more, a little less with that at our hog position and razor position when we need it. And the D-line, I think, rotated through 8 guys or so, if I'm not mistaken. So that's how we want to play for a number of reasons. At the top of that list would be keeping us fresh and fast, and not far behind it would be keeping our morale high and keeping guys playing that are preparing.
I don't think Scooter could have anticipated Santos punched the ball out. Is that a teaching thing? Bat it back in, or I don't know?
Not how that fumble was caused, but there was no surprise to the team that fumble was caused, because it's exactly what Santos did on the practice field last week and does on a regular basis. Just happened to be that the area that fumble was caused was right next to the sideline, and the direction of the punch is more times than not going to create that ball bouncing out of bounds, and an oval-shaped object bounces crazy.
You know the play I'm talking about, and then Cameron stepped up, jammed the guy. What do you think of his play on that? Like it takes some maturity to.
Well, and I think that's exactly what he has, and it continues to show. He's got a great physical presence too. I mean, he doesn't look like your typical freshman cornerback. So he's got those physical skills to go along with his mindset. But his mindset drives the physical piece, and the things we're asking him to do are the same things that I'm asking Andre Tolliver to do, and I don't think twice about it, because one's a true freshman, the other one's a senior.
Is it by design? It looked like we're used to seeing like defensive tackles sprint off the field and stuff, but when you had the opportunity to substitute, like guys were kind of taking their time. Is that just kind of by design? You got the chance to substitute.
Yeah, and the reason is through clarity of the rule. If we were substituting in a live ball situation, okay, the ball wasn't out of bounds, the ball wasn't an incomplete pass where they had not substituted personnel, and because of the ball maybe ended near our sideline, we wanted to get a guy in for a guy, you're going to see that sprinting that you're talking about to ensure that we get our guys on and off the field before they get aligned and snap the ball. When an offensive team substitutes, which it's also considered substitution when the play ends up out of bounds on their sideline in between the 25s where the player coach box is, then they're saying you can't tell whether they substitute or not. so you're allowed to match that substitution. Well, if I'm sending a defensive lineman out on the field, none of our defensive linemen know who he's coming in for. They got to wait and find out until he gets there and tells which one of them is out of the game. And once he tells them that, then they leave the game and get to the sideline, and we have the opportunity as a substituting team to get ourselves aligned and in position, and that's how the rule states.
Coach, how would you say the defense did just attaining the 3-4? Because it seemed like a little confusion towards the second quarter when Cooley came in. It just seemed like they were kind of confused on the line.
Oh, I don't think that has anything to do with the 3-4. I think that has to do with a tempo team on offense that was operating fast for a good bit of it. We were very pleased with our ability overall to get aligned and in the right calls and right checks. But as would be the case in just about any game, there were cases where we weren't lined up right.
Coach, back on that subbing, do you think it's more tiring for a 330-pounder to be in a dead sprint to the sideline to sub out or to just run another play?
More tiring to sprint out if you're asking him to go back on the field sooner rather than later. If by occurrence you got to do that to get guys on and off, and you get a chance to get him a breather, then I think he's fine. Just the nature of conditioning and how the body works.
This day age of social media, all the negativity, how have you seen your side of the ball respond to that?
What's social media?
Just the negativity from fans and people out there.
No, I mean, what is social media? Oh, I don't buy into it, so I don't even know what's going on out there.
You do have a Twitter account, though.
I do.
You tweet like
Yeah.
every 8 months or something.
That's regular, isn't it? That's regular. You know what? Today's 18, 19, 20-year-old is so used to being on social media and what goes along with it. I think the maturity of your football team and the leadership of your football team has to steer them away from that appropriately. And the message has to be, hey, we're moving on. And we're focused on the positive in our football team and the improvement that's taken place with that. I haven't seen anything days since the game that's disturbed me in their mindset regarding that. Believe me, I've been around our football team on the sideline, in the locker room, post-game, and since. Nobody's more upset about the loss than our kids.
It's been very fortunate the first, now will be 3 games, to get an earlier look on your opponent. How much does that maybe help game plan with what you're trying to do?
Oh, it's huge. From the I'll use the word relaxed nature of approaching the game plan and the calls that you want to put together and the plays that you want to see against those calls, to the extra snaps of physical preparation on the field and in the meeting room. I think it was very beneficial in the TCU game, regardless of outcome and score. If you would go back and look at a TV copy from the TCU game a year ago and watch us scrambling just to get aligned compared to how we were Saturday afternoon, I think that speaks in itself about that extra time.
I assume you were out recruiting yesterday. Does a loss like that hurt what you're selling at all in the immediate?
To our kids or out on the recruiting? You know what? I think recruits pay a lot less attention to wins and losses than maybe is given credit to that. And I'll go back to being a head coach in a rivalry game, and just as many times we got the kid when we lost and potentially lost the kid when we won. So I think it's the overall body of work that you do in the process of recruiting that matters most.
I think it was, I know you say you're not a player.
Otherwise, kids would be decommitted on a weekly basis, you know.
I think it was Bijan tweeted something after the game like, Brett Bielema is my all-caps coach. It's on the players, to get the job done, or some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you like an attitude like that?
Love the attitude like that, and I love the attitude of our kids, and Bijan's not singled out in that regard. Our kids have been phenomenal since January, and in loss that hasn't changed, that hasn't altered. I knew the meeting Sunday would be sensational because they'd come ready to be coached. and ready to learn in the process. And the same was true yesterday. And then we got a chance to go out and walk through some of those mistakes, and we're precise in how we fix them. Today we get to go out and physically do it at a higher rate of speed, and I can't wait to be out there with them to do that.
I take it you got to watch a little bit of the kid Mond when he played the end of the UCLA
Mm-hmm.
game, and now he has most of a full game. What did you see in him from one week to the next?
Improvement in a word. I think he was much more confident in the position and as the starter in Game 2 than he was in Game 1. I thought he showed the strength of his arm and the ability to throw the ball accurately. You knew after Game 1 that he could run it, but he really stacked up the ability to throw it in Game 2. I think the team has responded around him, and what they're asking him to do is he's showing he's capable of that.
But I guess they brought on the senior Hubenek after Nichols had tied him up, and I think Kevin Selma said they're going to play both of them against Lafayette. Is it a deal where you're not really sure? You got to get ready for both of them, I guess.
Yeah, and you got to get ready for their offense. Their offense is what it is, and we've seen it here in the program year after year, and that's what we got to get prepared for. And whether it's that position, the left tackle position, or the outside receiver position, we got to go defend that offense.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.